This week, Iran has been going through a major crisis on the home front, leading to massive protests throughout its cities, and it's just possible we could be seeing the fall of the Ayatollahs in real time. We'll get into that. And President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu just had a very productive meeting at Mar-a-Lago that possibly laid the groundwork for a massive arms deal with Israel and maybe another strike on Iran. Before I get into these stories, I want to remind you that our matching fundraising campaign ends tonight. If you believe in the work that we do through these videos and the volunteer work on the ground in Israel, we would be incredibly grateful if you could contribute to our campaign. Every dollar you give is doubled for twice the impact. Partly from pretty heavy sanctions and partly from very terrible management, Iran is in pretty serious financial crisis at the moment. The US dollar is trading at around 1.4 million rials compared to just 820,000 rials just a year ago. So massive inflation numbers. It all finally climaxed on Monday when shopkeepers in Tehran shut down their stores in a strike. Thousands of people then took to the streets in protest. Anti-riot police used tear gas to disperse the crowds. But by all available accounts, protests are still in full swing. The head of Iran's central bank, Mohammad Reza Farzan, resigned on Monday, and the former economy minister is replacing him. You can see in this video here students at the Isfahan University chanting "Death to the dictator." Several Israeli accounts on X, including an account that may be linked to the Mossad and former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, have encouraged the Iranian people in these protests and called on them to overthrow the regime of the Ayatollahs. The Iranian president, for his part, urged the government to listen to, quote, the legitimate demands of the protesters. Remember, it's the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, who has the actual power in Iran, and the president is a figurehead. But he said on X, quote, I have asked the interior minister to listen to the legitimate demands of the protesters by engaging in dialogue with their representatives so that the government can do everything in its power to resolve the problems and act responsibly. On top of all of this, Iran is still in a very severe drought. They've seen a little bit of rainfall over different parts of the country over the last couple of weeks, but nothing close to what is usual by this time of year. And this is not a good outlook for the Ayatollahs. They have been extraordinarily unpopular in Iran historically, and to this day continue to get even more unpopular as the country falls apart over water, as it falls apart over economics and other social problems as well. But despite what appears to be an existential threat to their power, the Ayatollahs remain unchanged in one thing, and that is their pure hatred for God and the Bible, and thereby the nation of Israel, meaning they continue to rearm and issue threats towards Israel and also the United States as well. Ali Shamkhani, a political advisor and representative of Ayatollah Khamenei, put out a threat in Hebrew on X after President Trump said that they would, quote, knock the hell out of Iran's government if they attempted to rebuild their destroyed nuclear sites. We'll get into more details on that statement and the meeting between Trump and Bibi, where that was made in just a second. But first, the statement from Iran. Quote, under Iran's defense doctrine, some responses are determined even before the threats reach the implementation stage. Iran's missile and defense capabilities are uncontrollable and do not require authorization. Any aggression will be met with a severe, immediate, and unexpected response. Earlier in the week, the Iranian president had said, quote, we are in a full-scale war with the United States, Israel, and Europe. They don't want our country to remain stable. So the Ayatollahs appear to be doubling down on the insane course they have been taking, which by all available evidence is extraordinarily unpopular with the Iranian people, meaning it's just a matter of time before their regime falls, God willing. In the protests we've been seeing throughout the country just may be the beginnings of that fall, but that remains to be seen. In a second, we'll get into what came out of Netanyahu's meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago this week. But first, if you're a Christian who believes in standing with the nation of Israel, we've got something very important happening right now. In 2025, we here at the Israel Guides have reached over 20 million people with the message of Israel, and we have been privileged to bring nearly 200 volunteers to the mountains of Israel's heartland to connect them with the events of the Bible unfolding before their eyes. We are privileged to get to put our hands in the soil of Israel to sweat on behalf of the restoration of this land. But this task takes more than just sweat. The operations cost a lot. The videos we produce cost something, the heavy machinery, the equipment, operating costs. If you believe in the covenant that God made with Israel, if you believe that God has a plan for the Jewish people to prosper in their land, in this land, in the mountains of Judea and Samaria, then we ask you to join us. We have generous donors who are willing to match any gift given through tonight, end of December. That's when this is ending. And so everything you give will be doubled for twice the impact. When you put directly into building up the land of Israel, it means more trees, more vines, more cattle, more sheep, more flourishing Jewish communities and families being built up in the land of Israel. So we just have a few hours to reach our goal. I want to ask you to please go to theisraelguys.com/double, or you can click the link in the description below. As you know, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu flew to Florida this week to meet with President Trump, and several very interesting things came out of that meeting. Trump was very warm in his reception of Bibi and continually praised him and said that they agreed and aligned on most issues. He even said that his relationship with Netanyahu has been, quote, extraordinary. He also said that Israel with other people may not exist right now. He's a wartime prime minister, speaking of Netanyahu. He's done a phenomenal job. He's taken Israel through a very dangerous period of trauma. Apparently, Trump also talked to Israeli President Isaac Herzog about pardoning Netanyahu to relieve Bibi of these ongoing legal battles that he's been a part of for years now. And according to Trump, apparently a pardon is, in his words, on its way. All of this goodwill may have come at a cost, though. Trump repeated once again that there are multiple countries that are interested in helping to disarm Hamas, to rule Gaza. He also said that sometimes Israel doesn't understand that when someone violates something, you want to give them a second chance. I think he's referring to Israel carrying out strikes on Hamas, crossing the yellow line in Gaza, which at this point would be Israel giving Hamas probably, a 20th chance, 30th chance, not exactly just a second. Netanyahu did present some new intel to Trump in the meeting, though, which adds some critical perspective to the whole thing. He told Trump that Hamas still has approximately 60,000 Kalashnikov rifles in Gaza, and that unless Hamas handed over these weapons, the next phase in Trump's 20-point peace plan could not move forward. Apparently, Trump agreed that Hamas absolutely has to be disarmed. It's just a matter of how they would accomplish that. One thing that Bibi seemed to be standing firm on, though, is the Turkey issue. He told Trump that he would not allow Turkey to send troops to the region and that Israel will not be able to stand a Turkish presence on the ground in Gaza, which is fantastic. Trump and Netanyahu also discussed the growing threat of Iran. A new report indicates that Israel now estimates Iran has around 2,000 ballistic missiles in its arsenal. That's growing every single day. That's about the same stockpile that Iran held before the 12-day war began, and also that the impact of Israel's strikes on Iran's ballistic missile program during the war was less severe than they first believed. Trump, for his part, made a very clear statement in a following press conference. He said, quote, "Now I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down, we'll knock the hell out of them, but hopefully that's not going to happen." He also said that if needed, he would absolutely support Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities again, and would maybe even consider military action alongside Israel yet again. Another positive thing that happened for Israel is the Pentagon announced that they will be awarding another massive Boeing contract worth $8.6 billion to provide 25 F-15 fighter jets to Israel by 2035. The Department of War said, quote, "This contract provides for the design, integration, instrumentation, testing, production, and delivery of 25 new F-15 aircraft for the Israeli Air Force, with an option for an additional 25 F-15 aircraft. Work will be performed in St. Louis, Missouri, and is expected to be completed by December 31st, 2035. Israel and the U.S. had signed a deal for this back in November, but the Pentagon is just now providing a contract to Boeing to get this rolling. Guys, don't forget, our fundraiser is nearly over, and we're very close to reaching our goal. Thank God. If you want to make a real difference in the land of Israel today, go to theisraelguys.com/double or click the link in the description below. Thank you so much for all of your support, to all of you who have given to support our work here at the Israel Guys. Happy New Year, and as always, thanks for watching.